Free yourself from toxic relationships forever. Did you know that nearly 1 in 3 people have experienced the toxic relationship in some form? From friendships to romantic partnerships, these relationships can leave lasting scars on your mental health, your self-esteem, and your overall happiness. It can start so subtly that you don't even realize it until you're already caught in the cycle. Have you ever felt emotionally drained, manipulated, or constantly criticized by someone close to you? Maybe you felt like you were walking on eggshells, unsure of what might trigger an argument or an emotional outburst. Or maybe you've started doubting yourself, questioning if you're being too sensitive or overreacting. But what if I told you, you don't have to stay in these relationships? There is a way out. Today, I'm going to show you how to recognize toxic relationships and give you the tools you need to free yourself from them for good. You deserve peace, and it's time to take your power back. Let me take a moment and share something personal. I've been in toxic relationships where I ignored the red flags. At first, they seemed like small issues, things I brushed off. But over time, they began to chip away at my happiness and self-worth. It wasn't until I was emotionally drained and questioning myself that I finally saw the pattern. Looking back, I realized that those small signs, manipulative behavior, the constant criticism, the emotional neglect, were clear signals I had ignored. Take a second and think about your own relationships. Have you ever brushed off certain behaviors or made excuses for someone's actions? Reflect on the last time you felt emotionally drained or criticized. Were those just small moments, or are they signs of something deeper? What red flags did you ignore and why? Recognizing these signs is the first step in freeing yourself from toxic relationships. And today, we're going to talk about how to do just that. It's time to reclaim your happiness and your peace of mind. You don't have to be trapped in relationships that drain you. You can break free, and I'll show you how. Toxic relationships can drain you emotionally, mentally, and sometimes even physically. These relationships aren't always easy to identify, and they don't always look the same. Whether it's a partner, family member, or friend, the key to recognizing toxicity lies in how they make you feel. Do you feel supported, loved, and respected? Or do you feel drained, unheard, or small? The emotional toll of toxic relationships is real. And if you've ever experienced this, you know it's hard to break free. Sometimes, toxic relationships are so deeply ingrained in our lives that we don't even realize they're affecting us. It could be a romantic relationship where manipulation and control make you question your worth. Or it could be a family member who belittles you or disregards your feelings. Even friendships can be toxic, where one person constantly takes from you, leaving you feeling exhausted and unappreciated. And don't forget about work relationships, where the pressure, lack of support, or toxic leadership can cause you to feel invisible or unimportant. The thing about toxic relationships is they often come disguised as something else: love, friendship, or even care. Emotional manipulation can play out in many ways: guilt-tripping, gaslighting, or making you feel like you're always to blame for things going wrong. It can make you doubt your reality and question your own feelings. This can be incredibly draining, and the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to recognize what's happening. And let's not forget the role that societal or cultural pressure can play. Sometimes we stay in toxic relationships because we feel we should, because society tells us we need to keep family bonds strong or maintain a certain image. We're often taught to endure or sacrifice for the sake of others, and breaking away from those norms can feel like a betrayal. But at what cost? Your well-being and happiness are just as important. Let's dive deeper into the common signs of toxic relationships. Once you start to recognize these behaviors, you'll be able to identify them more clearly in your own life. Toxic individuals often use manipulation to get what they want. It starts with subtle ways of making you feel guilty for expressing your own needs or using your vulnerabilities against you. This can include things like gaslighting, guilt tripping, and emotional blackmail. Gaslighting is particularly harmful. It makes you doubt your own reality, making you question if you're overreacting. If you feel like you're always walking on eggshells, unsure of what will trigger the next outburst, this is a major sign of manipulation. Manipulation can also come in the form of making you feel responsible for their happiness or pressuring you into doing things that don't feel right for you. It's about control, making you feel bad for wanting things that are just as important to you as they are to them. Another clear sign of toxicity is disrespect, whether it's ignoring your boundaries or belittling your opinions. Toxic people have little regard for your feelings or needs, and they tend to push your boundaries without hesitation. You may find yourself constantly compromising who you are, your beliefs, or your personal space just to make the other person comfortable. This lack of respect can show up in many ways. Maybe your partner doesn't respect your need for alone time, or a friend disregards your request to stop certain behaviors. It might feel like you're constantly giving in or adjusting your needs to maintain peace. Over time, this takes a toll on your self-worth, making you feel less than or invisible. Toxic individuals often criticize you for things that don't matter, or worse, things that are out of your control. Instead of offering constructive feedback, they tear you down, whether it's about your appearance, your choices, or your behavior. It's not about supporting growth, it's about putting you down to elevate themselves. The constant criticism can leave you feeling worthless, unimportant, or unable to do anything right. Over time, it chips away at your confidence, making you believe that you're never good enough. This is a clear sign of emotional manipulation, where the toxic person tries to control your actions through shame and judgment. After spending time with someone toxic, you feel emotionally drained. This isn't just physical exhaustion, it's mental and emotional fatigue. You leave interactions feeling small, worthless, or utterly spent, like the life has been drained from you. Emotional drainage can be so subtle that you don't notice it at first, but over time, it becomes overwhelming. You start to feel like you're constantly pouring from an empty cup. Every interaction leaves you feeling empty, and you find it harder to be yourself. This exhaustion is a major red flag that the relationship is unhealthy. In some toxic relationships, one partner may try to control your behavior, choices, or even your social interactions. They guilt trip you into doing things you don't want to do or make you feel bad for spending time with others. Control can also take the form of isolation, where they limit your contact with friends or family, making you dependent on them. This kind of control doesn't always show up as overt commands. Sometimes, it's disguised as concern, or they try to make you feel guilty for wanting to have your own life outside the relationship. It's about making you feel like you're not capable of making decisions for yourself. Over time, this erodes your independence and keeps you trapped. These toxic behaviors can deeply affect your self-worth and mental health over time. If you're in a relationship like this, it's easy to start believing the negative things they say about you. You might even start doubting your own worth and feel like you're not good enough for anyone. Recognizing these behaviors early on is crucial because they won't just disappear. They'll continue to affect your life, your happiness, and your peace of mind. And if you've been in this type of relationship for a while, it's easy to feel stuck or dependent. The emotional manipulation can make you believe that you can't live without the toxic person, but that's far from the truth. The first step toward freedom is recognizing the signs and understanding that you deserve better. So, how do you know if you're in a toxic relationship? Recognizing these behaviors is the first step, but once you've identified them, how do you move forward? How do you make that first step toward freeing yourself from toxicity? Let's talk about some practical tools and strategies that can help you take action. Take some time to reflect on how you feel after spending time with this person. Do you feel drained, anxious or invalidated? Pay attention to your emotions after each interaction. Often, your feelings can tell you more than words ever could. Do you feel emotionally lighter, or do you feel smaller, insecure, or exhausted? Ask yourself, how do I feel after being around this person? Do you feel empowered and supported, or do you feel depleted and misunderstood? Your emotions are often the most honest indicators of whether you're in a healthy or toxic dynamic. Pay attention to them, they're not to be ignored. Sometimes, when you're in the middle of a toxic relationship, it can be hard to see the signs clearly. You might be too emotionally involved, or maybe you're questioning your own judgment. That's when seeking feedback from trusted friends or family members can be incredibly helpful. Reach out to people who know you well, people who care about you, and ask them for their honest opinion. They may notice red flags that you've been too close to see. It's easy to get blinded by the emotional connection, but those outside perspectives can help you gain clarity. Therapists and counselors can provide invaluable support. They are trained to help you identify toxic patterns and can give you the tools you need to address the situation, whether it's working through the issues with the person involved or deciding that walking away is the healthiest option for you. Speaking to a professional doesn't mean you failed or that your relationship is beyond repair. It means you're taking control of your emotional well-being and seeking guidance on how to navigate these challenging waters. A therapist can help you build healthy communication strategies, set boundaries, and support you as you make decisions about your future. Above all, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Deep down, we often know when we're not being treated with respect or when our happiness is being compromised. You deserve to be in relationships where you feel valued, loved, and supported, not controlled, manipulated, or belittled. Your gut feelings are powerful. Don't ignore them. If your relationship is causing you more stress and heartache than joy, it's time to take a step back and evaluate whether it's truly worth your energy. Trust yourself. You know what's best for you. Here's a simple step-by-step guide to help you identify toxicity in your relationships and start making changes. Self-reflect. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with the person. Seek feedback. Talk to trusted friends or family for their perspective. Professional help. Consider talking to a counselor or a therapist. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, trust yourself. You deserve better. Next, let's talk about how to set healthy boundaries and approach difficult conversations. Setting boundaries is one of the most important steps in freeing yourself from toxic relationships. It's not about being confrontational, it's about respecting yourself and communicating your needs clearly. Let's dive into how you can start setting boundaries and standing firm in your relationships. The moment I realized I had to break free from toxic relationships was both empowering and terrifying, but it was the turning point that changed everything. I knew I had to take control of my life, and for the first time, I chose to prioritize my well-being over everything else. Breaking free wasn't easy. It meant facing the fear of being alone, the fear of losing someone I cared about, and the guilt that came with walking away from relationships that no longer served me. But deep down, I knew I couldn't keep sacrificing my happiness just to maintain unhealthy connections. There was a time when I thought I couldn't live without certain people. I felt like they were a part of me, that somehow I needed them to feel whole. But when I started to take a step back and evaluate what these relationships were really giving me, I realized they were taking more than they were giving. They drained my energy, my confidence, and my joy. It wasn't love, it was dependence. And I knew I needed to break free. It's not easy to let go of toxic relationships. The fear of being alone often holds us back, But it's important to remember that being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means making space for the kind of love and respect you deserve. You can't fill your life with healthy, loving relationships until you let go of the ones that are holding you back. The guilt of walking away will fade, and the peace you gain will be worth it. I remember the first time I communicated my boundaries clearly to someone who had been toxic in my life. It was terrifying. I was afraid of their reaction, afraid of losing them. But here's the thing, setting boundaries is not about pushing people away, it's about protecting your peace. I had to make it clear what I would no longer tolerate. I told them, I can't keep allowing this behavior to affect me, and I stood firm in my decision. Setting boundaries is about being assertive, not aggressive. It's about knowing what is acceptable and what is not. Here's how you can start setting clear boundaries. Identify your limits. Think about the behaviors that drain you, hurt you, or make you feel disrespected. Communicate them clearly. When you express your boundaries, be clear and direct. For example, say, I can't continue a conversation when you raise your voice like that. Or, I need time to myself to recharge, and I'll let you know when I'm ready to talk. Be consistent. Once you've set your boundaries, stick to them. Don't compromise just to avoid confrontation. Your peace is non-negotiable. It's also important to let go of the guilt of walking away. I know it's hard, leaving someone behind, especially when you've invested so much time and energy into the relationship. But it's okay to walk away from relationships that no longer serve you. It doesn't mean you don't care. It just means you're prioritizing yourself. You have the right to protect your happiness and pursue healthier, more supportive connections. Remember, you're not being selfish by setting boundaries or walking away from toxicity. You're choosing to honor your mental and emotional health. Letting go of guilt is crucial because staying in unhealthy relationships only prolongs the pain. You deserve to live in an environment where you feel valued, respected, and loved. So don't be afraid to take the leap. It's the first step toward a healthier, happier you. Breaking free from toxic relationships is a process that takes time, but it is one of the most powerful decisions you can make for your mental and emotional health. You deserve relationships that uplift you, support you, and make you feel loved and valued. When you take control of your life and your happiness, you'll create space for healthy, supportive connections to grow. Breaking free from toxic relationships is a process that takes time, but it is one of the most powerful decisions you can make for your mental and emotional health. It's not easy, but choosing yourself is one of the bravest things you can do. You deserve relationships that uplift you, support you, and make you feel loved and valued. When you prioritize your own well-being, you create the space to invite healthier, more fulfilling relationships into your life. Remember, self-love and personal growth are the foundation of healthy relationships. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't give what you don't have. When you take the time to invest in yourself, to rediscover your worth, and to heal from the pain of toxic relationships, you're not only making yourself stronger, but you're also creating the opportunity to build the kind of relationships you truly deserve. Take a moment to reflect on the progress you've made or can make in your own life. Have you set new boundaries? Have you started to recognize your worth and take steps toward your happiness? If you haven't yet, that's okay too. What matters is that you're taking steps forward, no matter how small they may seem. Each step is a victory. It's okay to walk away from toxicity and prioritize your own happiness. You don't owe anyone your peace, and you don't have to stay in relationships that drain you or make you feel less than you are. Your happiness is worth more than staying in a situation that doesn't serve you. And when you make the choice to take control of your life, the possibilities for healthier, more positive connections become limitless. I'd love to hear from you. What toxic relationships have you been able to break free from? How did you find the strength to walk away? And what changes did you see in your life after? Share your experiences in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Your story could inspire someone else to take that first step toward freedom. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more tips on personal growth and building healthy, fulfilling relationships. There's so much more to talk about on this journey of healing and growth, and I'm here to share it with you. You deserve to feel empowered and whole again, and I'll show you how to take the next step in your healing process.